Welcome back, guys, to another video. For a lot of the people out there that were fixated on this black power and black pride and sticking together and supporting your own, recall when Coach Prime initially came to Colorado University, and if anybody had a critical tongue, they were indicted as being haters or indicted as being divisive or Uncle Toms or whatever you want to call it. They had many utterances for people as such. However, if it's all about empowering black people and staying on the side of civility and staying on the side of sanity, then why isn't anyone, people like Jason Whitlock, why isn't anyone talking about Sherrone Moore, the new head coach, a melanated man, the new head coach for Michigan, replacing Jim Harbaugh? How come no one's talking about him? He's quote unquote black. Oh, I know why no one's talking about him. He doesn't bring entertainment value. He's not polarizing. He's not saying things on the mic that's going to drive the meter. He's not saying anything that's going to drive ratings. He's just plain vanilla. He's meh. So that's why there's a contradictory message that's sent out there by these TV pundits. They're quick to be critical about things that Deion did, and I have been too. I've been critical of things that I saw Deion do. I'll be the first to tell you that. You can look at my channel, you can look at my feeds and see that I have been critical of Deion. But at the same time, we need to also be aware that we need to institute balance in what we do. The same energy that we're giving towards Deion in the negative light, here's another African-American man or black man or melanated man who has been inserted as a new head coach for Michigan. Michigan is a good program, a historic program. A great hire. I would argue, actually there's not even an argument to be made, that Michigan has a much more deeper history than Colorado University. Why isn't America going crazy over the hire of Sherrone Moore at Michigan? You know why? Because number one, it's not divisive. It makes sense. It's rooted in logic. He's the next man up. He doesn't have a past. He's not an ex-Hall of Famer. And even if he was an ex-Hall of Famer, the way he carries himself is much different than the way Coach Prime handles himself. And I could assure you that some of the antics that Coach Prime allowed on his sidelines, you're not going to see that at Michigan. Michigan wasn't desperate. They just won the national championship. They're not desperate for anybody to come in to drive ratings. They're not going to put in a show, a circus act at the coaching position to draw ratings. And not to say I'm not indicting Coach Prime as a circus act, but in a way he does bring a degree of circuithood or circushood to his program, because he is much more than just a coach. He's a personality, he's a brand. When you think of Sherrone Moore, he's just the coach. There's nothing attached to him. He doesn't have a moniker. He doesn't have some type of, slogan that's attached to his movement. He's just a plain coach who stepped in while Jim Harbaugh was on suspension, did a good job. He was loyal to the program, and after Jim Harbaugh has left to go on to the NFL, Sherrone Moore has been inserted as the head coach of Michigan. But why don't we have many of the sports pundits pushing this story? Why? I've scratched my head at that. I'm like, why? If it's about empowering black people, then there you go, Sherrone Moore. He's not doing anything that you can criticize. I'm not going to criticize Sherrone Moore because he's done nothing for me to criticize. Media does not promote things that are good for our people. That's the point that I'm trying to make with this video. They're going to always promote the things that are going to be divisive. Because Coach Prime is divisive in a sense. Not that he's going out to be divisive, because he's such a polarizing figure. The things that he does are not traditional, and people are going to have a lot of opinions behind the things that he does. People are going to have things to say because he's not doing things the conventional way. He holds a press conference the first day of his hire telling people they got to leave, that he's going to bring in his Louis luggage, that he's coming to win and dominate. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but to put it on national television for all to see, people are going to have opinions. That's just the nature of the beast. Sherrone Moore, but why isn't anyone saying anything about him? So so just don't send the false message that it's about empowering black people and that anyone that's being critical of Coach Prime is a hater of black people. Well, if you love black people, if you love melanated people, you would be excited. You would be doubly excited. You would be 10 times more excited at the hire of Sherrone Moore at Michigan than you would with Coach Prime. I understand that Coach Prime had the storyline of him being a coach of his sons, him coming from Jackson State. I get it. His story seems a little bit more attractive. But since we are on the subject of African American coaches, and Coach Prime has already spent 1 year in the Power 5 conferences being a coach for Colorado University, then I just think that it's nothing new anymore. He's already done his first year. So now let's shift off of Coach Prime and start talking more about Sherrone Moore. Let's talk about his philosophies. Let's videotape every post-game and pre-game conference. And let's dissect everything that he says. Because I can assure you, he's not going to say anything that's going to drive the ratings. But that's why they're not going to show it. Because he's not going to do or say anything that's going to be tantalizing enough for the ear to tune in. The media are like leeches. They latch on to narratives and they latch on to things that can make a story out of. At the expense of anybody. Doesn't matter who gets hurt by it, they're just going to do it. And every action has a ripple effect. Every action has a reaction, and that reaction has an action. It's a cycle. It's a cyclical cycle that continues to go round and round in a circle. You act, they react, you act off the react. It keeps going on and on. So there's a psychological push that occurs when media is totally for or against anybody. But even if media is for you, it can come at a detriment as well. Because a media being for you will cause other people who are not for you to speak out more. Just like we understand that the media is pro LeBron James. We understand that. The sports media with Clutch Sports, they're pro LeBron James. But because they're pro LeBron James and all the attention is always on LeBron James in a positive light, of course, every now and then there's some negative, but it causes other people to come out and speak out against LeBron James. Not because they're hating. That's the type of energy that you envelop when you move in that type of accord. Whenever you focus your attention on one thing, it only rises the opposite reference to attack that one thing that you're focusing all your energy on. It's the law of duality, folks. It works in our universe. Whatever you put attention to, you're going to get the opposing force of attention that's against the attention that you're given. So if you're giving all the positive attention to a person and it's unfair positive attention, it's not rooted in bias. It's not rooted in you being unbiased, and it's not rooted in you being objective. Then you're going to get the opposing side to come up and speak out against it. It's human nature. We come from source. The creator of the universe is the source. We all come from that source. So that source is always trying to balance itself. And we are the physiological embodiment of that source. Every human being is just a different means by which source can actually experience its reality through multiple physiological bodies. So we are all one. So we need to operate in balance. So whenever you get a person like Coach Prime and the cameras are always on him and everyone is being highly critical of everything that he does, just do know there are other people that are going to come on the other side and start to speak positively about what he is doing. Because when people see unfair analysis that's not rooted in you being unbiased, you're going to get people that are going to come out there to kind of insert a little bit of justice in there, which makes the person polarizing. Because as long as the person's name stays in the news, then their name is going to always be the topic of discussion. Constantly rising, the ebbs and flows, pro, con, pro, con, pro, con. Prime, Coach Prime, Coach Prime, Coach Prime. That's why anyone who speaks about Coach Prime on social media gets attention. I'm proof of it firsthand. No one cares about the content that I show on my channel. No one cares about me talking about nutrition. People don't care about me talking about the atmosphere and the stratosphere aerosol injections that are going on in the sky. No one cares about that stuff. But immediately I talk about Coach Prime, I get more views. Because that's what people want to hear. Because there's so much people that are tuned in, and it's a subject that draws opinions, whether you are for or against, that it causes people to add in their 2 cents. All I'm saying is that the same energy that Coach Prime has, can we take at least a tenth of that energy and focus a little bit on Sherrone Moore? He deserves it. No one's talking about him. No one's talking about him. For the people who were very critical of Coach Prime leaving Jackson State, saying he's not staying there to empower the black people and make HBCUs better, to steal some of the cachet or some of the talent from the Power 5 conferences to rebuild the HBCUs and make them more prominent, and you guys are beating down Coach Prime for that. Well, here's Sherrone Moore. He's melanated. Now, he's not in the HBCUs, but if it's about the empowerment of black people, we should be celebrating in the streets right now about Sherrone Moore. So it's not about that. It's not about the empowerment of black people. It's about finding any narrative that's going to drop the meter, that's going to push the meter, that's going to cause people to tune in more and cause people to focus more, cause people to have divisions and to drive ratings. That's the only reason why he won Sportsman of the Year, because he drove ratings. He put money back in the Europeans' pocket. That's all he did. It's not because he was the greatest coach. It's not because he turned around a 1-11 program and went to a bowl game his first year. He won 4 games. You can question it. You could say the first 3 games were, maybe you can call it a fluke, but he did win 3 games in a row. He won a 4th one later. The record was 4-8. They were 4 games below 500, only winning 3 more games than the previous team that was there before. But let me remind you, he is not playing with the same players. I think it would have been a better accomplishment if he took the same team, the same players, the same player personnel that went 1-11, and he got them to win 3 more games. That would be a bigger accomplishment to me than bringing in your Louis luggage and only winning 3 more games. All right, so every 4-8 record are not made equally. You have to take it in full context and look at the whole gamut of what occurred. Because the quarterback that was there last year is not Shedeur. The receivers that were there in Colorado were not the receivers that they have. The cornerbacks that Colorado had last year were not the cornerbacks that they had this year. The team was vastly improved in terms of coming from a personnel standpoint. They were much improved. So me as a fan, I expected more. I expected more than just a 4-win season. I'll be honest with you. I expected them to win 8. I expected them to win 7 to 9 games. I did. Maybe that's a bit too much for you guys, but my expectations were there because I believed in and I still do, in a certain degree, believe in what Coach Prime can do. So his first year, that's the grace period. We'll see what he does this year. But again, Sherrone Moore, where's his love at? He's not getting any attention. It's stated and people get off of it. Let's peel back his history and do a 30-30 on him, how he got to this position. We owe it to him. If it's about the empowerment of black people, I want Jason Whitlock to do a segment on Sherrone Moore and talk about how proud he is of Sherrone Moore, about how he stayed the course in Michigan and how you're so happy for him. How come we don't do that? See, that's what I mean by having balance. There's nothing wrong with being critical, but you cannot be always critical of your own people. And then when your own people get a raise or some kind of promotion or some type of an advancement, then you don't speak on it. Is it because you're not going to get ratings from it? It's not about the ratings. Sometimes we owe it to our consciousness. We owe it to our higher selves to operate on that vibrational frequency, to operate on a plane that's not normalized into the status quo of what we normally are provided by mainstream media. We should operate above that. And people with sense and people with critical thinking skills and people who are deep thinkers will actually gravitate to you. You'll find yourself actually getting more subscribers that way if you operate on a plane of justice. Not on the theme of saying things consistently to get ratings. I understand that Coach Prime gave Whitlock a lot of ratings, and he gave me ratings. Not like Whitlock's rating, but I mean, on my little analytics, I can see that when I talk about Coach Prime, I get more ratings. But I've been challenged by viewers to say, hey, man, you're overly critical. You know, I like your analysis, but you're too negative. I had to actually look myself in the mirror and take a retroactive look at my stance. So I'm not speaking from a vantage point of somebody who's perfect. I'm speaking from a vantage point of somebody who's done that, who's guilty of that at times. We could be too critical at times. All I'm saying is that the amount of energy that we put towards the criticism, I just hope and implore pundits all over the world to put that same amount of energy into the positive things that you see, either from a race or from that individual person. If I see or hear that Deion Sanders did something great, should I just keep my mouth shut and say, no, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to just keep watching. I'm going to keep watching until he does something that I don't like, something that's controversial. Then I'm going to talk about that because that's going to give me ratings. No, man, that's just a smaller way of you selling your soul to the highest bidder. You become a social media whore. You become a social media prostitute, selling your consciousness to the highest bidder because you want to get ratings. You just talk about the topics that you know people are going to gravitate to. That's just another way of prostitution, spiritual prostitution, in my estimation. So yeah, man. So kudos to Sherrone Moore. Congratulations. I hope you much success in your next coming season with Michigan. I know that you guys just came off the national championship. Hope you guys don't have a honeymoon phase where you guys think, oh, we got it. Hope you guys continue to build on that dominance, and I hope to see you guys in a bowl game next year again. And it would be great to see you guys in the playoffs again. It'd be great to see you guys play for another national championship. It would be great to see you guys repeat. So again, congratulations, Sherrone Moore. I wish you the best. You deserve it, and I'm so happy for you that we have a melanated man in Michigan, a northern state in Michigan, that's not known for having. I can't remember the last African American coach at Michigan. In football coach, not basketball. I'm talking about football. And for as long as I can remember, I can't remember them ever having a melanated coach, but they do now. And I'm so happy. He's young. He's fairly young. I hope him success, because if he has success early, he could end up being in the coaching ranks as being one of the top young coaches that's in the college ranks, and he could build on that success and build his resume and possibly use that to get other jobs elsewhere. Whether he has aspirations to go to the NFL or not, I'm not sure, but I wish him well. I want him to do well. I want him and Coach Prime to do well. I want all our people to do well. But when I see stupidity, I will call it out. But when I see good things, I'm going to call it out as well. I think we owe it. I think we all the energy and focus that was spent on Coach Prime coming to Colorado, I think we owe a bit of that energy. I think we can extract a little bit of that energy and put it towards Sherrone Moore, a man who's done nothing but just wait his turn, and he should be congratulated for waiting his turn and for his loyalty. And we should be pouring on great wishes upon him to the next season that he does well. All right? We shouldn't wait till some scandal comes out, then we're going to start talking about Sherrone Moore. That's not right. We give people their flowers while they're here. We don't wait till they're at the bottom and we kick them while they're down. We don't do that. All right, thank you guys for listening. Leave a comment and tell me what you guys think. All right, bye.